Hello everyone and welcome to IRC Bot programming. This was live streamed on Twitch, so any kind of comments or questions that you guys have, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. So let's go ahead and let's just get started here. Okay, so I'm setting up our IRC project right now, and I had to change the default namespace because the namespace by default is your solution name, and my solution name was a little too long. So that was a necessary change. Then I added some reply codes. Now this is the most important as it will help us understand what each numeric reply code does. Every numeric reply has a summary, so every time you hover over a reply code, it will show you exactly what it should return. Alright, and this is our IRC class. This class will be the main focus of our video. There I am just showing the differences between classes and structs. And now I am creating the private members, the members that are going to store the variables necessary to connect to IRC. And alright, so now I'm going to do some includes into the main and create the rest of my members. And then I'm going to create my constructors. These constructors, they're going to take the nick, your username, your real name, and later on the bottom constructor is going to take another variable. But yep, right now I am setting up everything to get my connection started. So right here I was told I should be using a resource rather than declaring my constants within the constructor, as it is bad writing. So I went ahead and I created a resource file, or a resx file, and then I did a super constructor to the physical constructor. And there I thought I can add some, extra objects, but I guess I couldn't. But that's okay. String variables are okay. They can be easily converted into another instance. So right here I'm creating a function called setPort. This setPort will set the default port to, it'll set it to the default of 6667 if the port number is either malformed or is not the port that you want. And here we go, setting up the connection methods. Basically showing off again the bot. I used her as an example of what I wanted in the bot that we're currently making, and I wanted to construct each response in a certain way. So I was just showing off, exactly what that we were going to be doing later on. So this is the raw method. The raw method is going to take a few things, the command and the arguments. Later on, I'm actually going to add the message, but it turns out that this caused some errors because of the params object array. So I decided to remove this raw method and install the just regular set of arguments and the message in that order. And there's a reason why I'm doing it in that order. So after creating the if statement, checking if the message is null or empty, I proceeded to add the what we call margs in my code. The reason why I call it margs is it's going to be a multi-argument. Yeah, great for my naming convention. And I'm showing off there in the website the different commands that we can use to parse, such as the nick and user. And inside of this while loop, instead of saying while connected, I've decided to get a fresh message every time we iterate. So if the connection is, or if the message is null from here on, then it's going to basically throw either an error or it's just going to disconnect, because a server is not supposed to send you bad data. And now I was trying to figure out why I wasn't getting a connection. It turns out that the URL or the address I was using was not the right address, so I decided to change the address to another address. And I was trying to edit the DNS entry and figure out why it was causing this error, and it kept screwing up. And there I am realizing that it's not the right one. So I tried another one. And I tried doing some pings, and that wasn't working. It wasn't resolving. And then finally I realized, it was the address. And then I saw the ping, and I thought, let's go ahead and write the ping method. What I didn't realize, and you're gonna see the mistake in a bit, so here I am. I'm going to show the IRC parse reply. This parse reply is basically going to convert our line that we get from the server, and it's going to convert it and separate it into different string variables. One that's going to be a prefix, a command, the parameters, and then our message. And those are going to be the 4 different types of variables that we're going to be using. The first parameter in the params is going to, I think it's going to be your bot's nickname all the time. So that's why in some of these reply codes I took away the nick, and I think that's a bad idea. I'm gonna have to put that back in. But back into the code, I was showing off the p invoke by Redgate. So back into the code, I decided to go ahead and write in the different members that we're going to be using, and then I'm going to create the extensions method to check whether the reply code is either a number or whether it's a string. And if it's a number, then we're going to go ahead and parse it. And then I decided that I wanted to try making a generic template function, which decided that it didn't want to work and I couldn't figure it out at the time. So after about the next 15 seconds of messing around with this, I decided to revert and then just change it back into an int. So back to it. So back in here, creating the if statement to check if it's a number, and if it is, then we're going to go ahead and do a switch statement. And we're going to parse the integer into our reply code, and all these different replies that we're going to start parsing in, and finally make our bot come to life and give us the data that we're looking for. So there I am adding the ping as well. Basically, the ping, you're going to see the mistake now, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago. You're going to see the mistake. And this mistake ultimately caused the bot to not register with our IRC server. Did you see it? Yeah, I didn't catch it at first. I kind of facepalmed after that. Basically, I wrote ping instead of pong, and yeah, that didn't turn out so well. So ping, and then uh-oh, you're not registered. I spent about the next 30 seconds here trying to figure out why, and then after the realization, I decided, yep, it's the ping. I have to change it to pong. I'm a klutz. So here I was creating a compile extension, which will allow me to join the string array into just a regular string, and I wanted to just do that so I can put all of the command or the parameters into one line of code instead of splitting it. And I'm still trying to figure out how to figure the registration, why it's not registering, and it's because of that pong. And sudden realization. Whoa. So I decided to change it to pong, and boom, there we go. Now we have our successful connection to IRC. As you can see, we have our reply MOTD, so we're going to have the start of MOTD, and the end of MOTD. And these are at the end of MOTD, that's when we're going to start sending some killer commands to join a channel, making sure that all the parameters are correct. So once we run the code again, then we'll be able to finally be in a channel. And then I'm going back in here to the codes, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and use these codes instead. So I'm uploading the irccodes.cs to my code.toastnetwork.com, sending it to my viewers, and then using that code instead. And I'm showing off the bot again. Oh, why am I showing it off again? This is just showing me though. I love showing things off. Anyway, so I can't necessarily use this code right now because obviously we're throwing a lot of errors. So these errors are because I have like colors, and I use the code that I've written successfully to modify the client. And now I started to get some errors because the names were different. So I decided to switch names to camel case instead of uppercase. And now I am writing more about, just the different responses. at this part, I was told that I shouldn't have to write extra code just to print a response, rather to break the code. So after messing around, and after getting our MOTD and all that stuff, I decided to do the names reading. So you get names response, and now we're just going to parse that names response. So I added the default response that will display a semi-raw message instead of displaying just the raw message itself. I kind of compiled it the way that I had compiled, and then I'm showing the debugger as it's doing its pings and pongs that are not visible into our client, and there you have it. We have a successful bot. Alright, if you like this video, go ahead and leave a like and comment down below, and I'll be sure to answer any kind of questions you have about this code build so far. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a happy coding.